طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ولي الصالحين وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. بارك الله فيكم وجزاكم الله خير for this invitation. The topic of this conference is something that Alhamdulillah aims is championing, spearheading, is something that in our communities it's not really being talked enough about, and that is the issue of escaping addiction. What is addiction? We see that in our communities in the West, where we are challenged, our deen is challenged, our identity is challenged, our faith is challenged, our ideology is challenged, everything is challenged. We have these other challenges that are weakening us, and without a doubt, they are weakening us over and over again. Addictions are something that every human being in this secular world will have to deal with. Why? Well, because the environment is so highly stimulating today that human beings fall into these addictions left and right. It is only by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if someone has not been afflicted by one of these addictions at any point. And of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always tells us, إِلَّا مَا رَحِمَ رَبِّي, except who Allah has mercy on them. There's always the exception, alhamdulillah. And if you are one of those people, may Allah bless you and protect you, because فَقَدْ فَازَ فَوْزًا عَظِيمًا, indeed he has succeeded and has grasped the strongest of victories. My dear brothers and sisters, my background is in neuropsychology, biology and psychology, neuroscience and cognition. I did research in Parkinson's, which is kind of actually related to what I will be talking about today. Parkinson's is a disease that is actually affected by the lack of or less supply of a neurotransmitter called dopamine. And I want you to remember this name. Dopamine is actually at the core of our lecture today. I'm sure the Mashayikh, may Allah bless them, have talked a lot about the different forms of addiction, the problems they were faced with as an ummah today, the challenges in the West. These are things they were addressing on a regular basis. The One Message Foundation, Sheikh Uthman, Sheikh Karim Abu Zaid, with Safa Education, Safa Institute, Salahuddin Future Academy, which I'm part of, one of the consultants. We're all trying to basically fight these unseen elements and enemies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that are affecting us. And when you have someone in front of you, you know that they're an enemy. You know how to deal with them, you know how to handle it. But when you have something that is difficult to see, or very difficult to understand, or very difficult to observe, then it is very, very difficult to fight. And alhamdulillah that this conference is highlighting this issue. And that is, well, addiction. Well, how do you grasp addiction? How can you quantize it or qualiticize it, or whatever you want to say? It's very difficult, because not like you can grab it and hold it by the neck. It is something that needs to be observed, and it's something that requires a lot of honesty from a person to say, well, I think I'm addicted. Well, I would say, I'll preface this lecture by saying that probably most of us are addicted, including myself. I work on the phone pretty much the whole day. Most of my work is on the phone. I'm a consultant in many different countries around the world, and I have to be on different calls, different time zones, different meetings, pretty much the whole day. So sadly, I'm used to the mobile device quite a lot. On this mobile device, of course, there are good things that can be done, such as listening to Quran, such as watching this live stream, learning from the Mashaykh and understanding your deen better. You can communicate with your parents or relatives that are overseas, and you can actually connect the Silatul Rahim. That is very important. You can do so many positive things. However, I would argue that the negatives outweigh the positives. One of these negatives that I'm going to cover today is the addiction to social media. Social media, be it Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and so many of the other, Twitter, YouTube, all these fall under social media. Again, there can be khair in them, and a lot of people are using them for da'wah and to bring the message of Islam. But at the same time, there can be a lot of shar and a lot of evil that are spread on these things. pornography, indecent things, even if it's not pornography, just seeing the nakedness and the fahisha that is in the world is something that's going to affect you, even if you see it once, twice, and it will bring you back to it somehow, one way or the other. Why? What's the key word that we were talking about? Dopamine. So what is dopamine? It is a neurotransmitter that basically helps you to feel strong, alive, accomplished. If there is a good supply of dopamine, you feel motivated, you feel like moving, you feel inspired, you feel like you have done something in your life. When there's a depletion of dopamine, one of the outcomes is, as I told you, Parkinson's. Of course, more complicated, but I want you to just understand how bad it can get. But the most immediate and most noticeable thing is that you lack motivation. You don't feel like doing anything. You're sad. You're just down. You just want to sit in and do nothing. And now I know as winter is here, the SAD or SAD takes in sadness, but even what's called the seasonal affective disorder, which is not being exposed to light, not getting enough vitamin D, and just kind of feeling depressed. It's called the winter blues in street language. Many people actually experience this all over the world, and they report depression. They feel lack of motivation, lack of energy. They have a hard time waking up, even though we know that الشتاء ربيع المؤمن, that the winter is the spring of the believer, or كما قال عليه الصلاة in the hadith that was narrated with some weakness, but it is indeed the meaning is correct. But a lot of people don't feel like that. They don't actually have longer time to sleep, yet still you're not rested. You're still feeling down. You're still feeling low. You're still feeling like you could, sleep another 5 hours and you're not feeling well. So this is something that we need to understand in ourselves, identify, and try to counter it as soon as possible. But going back to the dopamine, so it plays a key role in the reward motivation behavior. And I'm going to explain it, inshallah, more and more. But what does that do with us? Why do we care about this? Well, interestingly enough, when you look at this ummah, we look at the whole ummah in the West, in America, in Canada, in the UK, wherever it is, you find that most of the people are doing dawah are a few. You can count them on the fingers. Okay, you got Sheikh Kareem, Sheikh Uthman, Eddie from the Dean Show, and few others. Yes, there are, but you can count them. Everyone else is spectating. Right? You ask the people, right? Why aren't you guys getting involved, man? Brother, I'm busy, man. I don't really have knowledge. And the Prophet said, بلغوا عني ولو آية. بلغوا عني ولو آية. Convey from me, even if it's one ayah. Everyone knows قل هو الله أحد, right? This is the core and crops of Tawheed. بلغوا عني ولو آية. كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. Just one ayah. Tell people about Tawheed, man, right? But people are lacking motivation. They don't have that zeal. I got to go out there. I got to go on the street dawah. I got to take part in these conferences. I got to get involved. I got to participate in whatever I can do. Most people do not do that. They're not motivated. Most people, I do counseling a lot, and a lot of people message me, brothers, the brother, I don't really feel like getting a job. I don't know. I'm just like on my games all the time. I'm playing Fortnite. I don't know. I'm not married. How old are you, brother? 35, brother. I'm still young. MashaAllah, 35. MashaAllah, you're still young, yeah? Okay, طيب. So 35, by 35, our ancestors were conquering, Istanbul and Constantinople, and Fars and different places. What do you mean, like I'm playing Fortnite? What are you conquering? The different levels? This is the truth. We know. I know it hurts. I know it stings. People are playing poker, or I don't know, what is the other card game that they play, and so on. Or I see on the other day, people playing Pokemon. They're catching Pokemon, subhanAllah. And these were like 20-something-year-old guys. And I was like, subhanAllah, yani, what is going on with this? Why? Well, it's linked to dopamine. So what's dopamine again is that feel-good, motivated reward system. But another key point, it is actually one of the neurotransmitter that is linked to what? to your muscle movement action. Do you see? Do you see the point? People are not motivated. People are not feeling good. Why? You're going to understand now. The more you engage with social media, the more you're going to have dopamine. You might be like, well, that's good, man. Alhamdulillah. I mean, that's going to make me move more, right? Wrong. Very, very wrong. Because there is a cycle that is negative that's going to take place. So if you get motivated from, for example, da'wah, from participating in this event, from listening to the lectures, from all kinds of different activities that you're doing for the sake of Allah, studying and so on, that is a very, very positive dopamine increase. Your dopamine increases. You go to the gym, right? You work out. You feel like your muscles are popping out. You feel like, mashallah, I feel good. You've achieved memorizing an ayah or 2 or 10 or a surah from the Quran. You feel good. Your teacher praises you. That dopamine boost is going to be actually positive for you. Why? Because it's going to now activate that reward system, meaning it's going to require you to do more. So I finished one surah. Now I'm going to be motivated because my dopamine levels are up to do another surah and another 2. And my teacher says, good job, ahsant, tajweed, and you studied the fiqh of tahara or something. And he said, ahsant, you did good. He praises you, and you feel like, we go home, you feel like, okay, I'm going to study more, right? Now you get more books, you put your shemagh on, you think you're a mashallah sheikh, but you're motivated, right? You're motivated. Now you're going to do more. You get the key? You're moving more. Dopamine levels are high. It's pushing you to do more. Now, the catch. You are on Instagram. Go on Instagram, right? Wow, someone says something about your post. MashaAllah, brother, this and that. You're like, oh, wow. What happens? Dopamine spikes up because you have that reward. What's the reward? Someone has validated you. Someone has actually validated you. But then you scroll more, or you want to post more. And it creates, social media creates something called the bottomless pit of content. I mean, I'm sure they actually can never reach the bottom, right? When you scroll and you go through videos, you actually don't reach the bottom. You just get, it's too much. You get too tired. That's what it does. The algorithm is going to keep pushing things that you are looking at and things that you feel good about. Maybe there's a video on football or soccer or whatever. Maybe there's a video on whatever. Even if it's a video on Islam, reels on Islam, which is good, but it's still going to get you on the phone, which is going to now expose you. Come on, we all know that it's not only Islamic content that we see on Instagram or Snapchat or TikTok. A'udhu billah, TikTok's probably like the craziest one. So the algorithm is going to tailor the content that is actually preferred by you. And the likes and the comments are going to motivate you. They're going to give you unpredictable rewards. And you're going to start aching like a slot machine. You're going to be wanting to have more and more. The average time spent on social media globally is 2.5 hours. Globally. Do you understand what I mean? 2.5 hours? You sleep 8 hours. You go to work for whatever. And then 2.5 hours globally, right? People spend it on social media. 2020 study by Statistica reported 75% of teens check their phones every 10 minutes. So when you have your phone in your hand and you're always checking, put it back in your pocket, checking, put it back in your pocket, checking. This is a sign of addiction. When you feel like it's vibrating or you feel like you're hearing it ring, notifications are meant to basically hook you into going back on their phone. Now, why is that? Well, it is a design system so you can engage with them more, which means the company who sells the phone, the company who sells the ads, the company who sells the content, they make more money. You are their consumer, their client, and you make them money. Their objective is to keep you as much as possible engaged with this device. Okay? So it's very important. Now, the effects on mental health, they are huge. increased anxiety, depression, and low self-esteem. Comparison syndrome, or also, so comparison is huge, especially in women. Oh, I saw someone, this girl looks so pretty on Instagram. Why do I don't look so pretty? I don't feel pretty. Sister, when are you going to stop wearing makeup? When I'm going to feel prettier? I'm like, but yeah, but people are lying to you, right? People are trying to make you feel bad about yourself so you can, go buy more makeup and disobey Allah more and cause more fitna. Brothers, shit, they're flexing their muscles in the mirrors and all that, right? Got brothers now, that's all they care, their muscles and so on. Someone says something, oh, bro, you're, not so big. Oh, they start getting depressed. They look at someone else bigger than them, stronger. They get depressed, too much to compare to, both men and women. So there's also something called FOMO, fear of missing out. Right? Oh my God, what did I miss? Did this person talk? Oh, was this posted? Oh, what was the stats on this game? Or so fear of missing out is another thing that keeps you back and addicted to it. So this is now addiction. A study at the University of Michigan showed that social media activates the brain the same way that drugs, especially dope. That's why they call it dope, from dopamine, or cocaine as well. Over 40% of young adults report feeling addicted to their phones. This is a Pew Research in 2022. Question is, are you addicted? How do we feel? Are we able to stay without our phone? In this conference, how long were you able to stay without touching your phone during the lessons or the lectures themselves? Were you able to do that? Overexposure to explicit content on these phones, what happens is it rewires the brain to crave instant gratification. It reduces motivation for real life goals. Because now, remember, you're getting your dopamine from here, not from achieving a 10-mile race or run, or from going to a wrestling competition, or whatever, training, or from memorizing Quran, or work and making money, or all these things that are in real life. Now you're getting, which increase your dopamine, the same effect, but now you're getting it, what? Virtually. So now what actually will happen is that you're not going to do the movement that has positive outcomes in your life in real time. You're going to be living online or virtually, which has no benefit actually to the ummah, to humanity, or to yourself. Bala, actually, the opposite is that it gives you depression and anxiety, comparison, the fear of missing out, FOMO, and many other psychological issues. I counsel people, again, my background is in biology and psychology, neuroscience and cognition, neuropsychology. And we look a lot at behavior specifically and how these things affect behavior and how behavior in turn generates more behavior. Because if I like something, if this gives me pleasure, now I'm going to actually go into the cycle of reward and reward myself with more of the same to feel the same. You understand? So this is extremely important. And that is why it is so addictive, because it makes you feel good. And that's why dopamine is called the feel good hormone. All right. Now, notifications, social media, burst of dopamine, very quick, ding, right? You heard something ringing, something vibrating. Oh my God, who messaged me? I wonder, was it a like? Was it a comment? Spikes in dopamine, as opposed to, for example, studying, getting a good mark, achieving something, which is not just a spike, but is a increase in the dopamine over time, and it helps. The brain changes, overreaction. It leads to shrinking of the prefrontal cortex and reducing impulse control. People are more angry now. People are more triggery. They get triggered easily. Violence, a lot of violence is explained this way in the world. Crime in the world and in our society, especially in America. You look at abuse, violence, and many, many other things, because people cannot control themselves. Their prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for impulse control, is now reduced and it doesn't function properly. Behavior, okay? Addicted individuals show reduced gray matter in decision-making areas of the brain. Decision-making. What's wrong with guys today? They're very hesitant. They cannot be men. They cannot make decisions. They cannot stand their ground. They cannot hold a job. Got 25-year-old, 30-year-old young boys, literally boys, they're not men anymore. They can't handle a job. Forget about it. They don't want to get married because they're so scared of marriage that they're delaying it and falling into another sin, which is huge, which is pornography. And that is linked to this dopamine cycle and is linked to the addiction. It's actually probably the biggest musibah and fitna that has hit this ummah after prostitution and the evil around those zina and so on. This is virtual zina. So you don't have zina that requires the hukum of zina, but you have zina that still destroys your brain. Okay, the zina of the eyes and the hand and so on and so forth. It's probably the greatest destructive fitna that has hurt the young shabab, the Muslim youth all over the world, and men in general. So statistics in 2022 report, look at this, 115 million people visit daily one of these sites. I don't want to mention just one of them. 115 million daily. You understand? SubhanAllah. And also shows that up to 40% of young men experience, young men, 20s, teens even, early 20s experience erectile dysfunction due to porn. There's so many things that we can talk about when it comes to the addiction signs, but it starts with social media. What can you do? How can you work with this? Imagine dopamine is linked to motivation. Dopamine is also linked to movement. You see, no motivation, no movement. No movement, no khair, no dawah. Shaitan totally destroys the ummah, holds him down, so then he can attack the rest of the people, the soldiers who are working on this dawah, alhamdulillah, and you can see all the attacks, everyone's going against them because, let's be honest, how much support do people really get? Most people don't want to. They don't want to get involved. It's nice to spectate. It's nice to listen. It's nice to just stay there. But the question is, how many people are willing to put in some work? I'm asking you that, who are present today. I'm asking you that. I'm asking myself, what have we done for Islam? And if we haven't done anything, the question is again, why? And it makes sense. Well, part of it, not all of it, is this. Because we're getting so much high from this dopamine booster, the spikes, actually we don't seek it in actual real life action. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. This is an understanding. I'm sure that the mashayikh are going to explain more and elaborate more on what to do to stay away from it. First and foremost, the simplest thing is to reduce the activity on these things. There's something that we call phone fasting. Try to stay away from the phone as much as you can, especially when you reach home, right? Leave it in your car, leave it with someone. Try to spend the whole evening and night without it. Especially the studies now show that this blue light that comes from the screen right now, at night, it messes up your circadian rhythm, which is a perfectly designed clock by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to react to the night and the day. وَجَعَلْنَا اللَّيْلَ لِبَاسًا وَجَعَلْنَا النَّهَارَ مَعَاشًا. We made this night as a cover to rest, to sleep. Perfect. And we have made the night as a morning as a time for you to move and to seek your rizq and to do work. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us to understand. May Allah forgive us for our mistakes. Barakallahu feekum wa jazakumullah khair.
Let's give him a big